Sakyamuni Buddha. Namo Sakyamuni Buddha. Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Zhishen Fashi, to lead us again tonight. And I know Erwin is very excited because you're going to the emptiness part 3. So, as
part
well
4,
as
Sabo, part 4.
4 is 4? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so Zhishen Fashi, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let me share my screen. You able to see my PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Well, small group tonight, but it's okay. Hello, Marlene. Long time no see. For those that don't really know me, but I'm in Foguangshan headquarters in the Foguangshan Institute of Humanistic Buddhism. Well, I'm in Venerable Mel Guang's team, so currently in charge of the Bodhi Light Tales, if you ever hear the stories. So, and I know that there is a Filipino version of our stories that just launched today or yesterday. So that's kind of nice to know. So the Buddha Dharma Pure and Simple, I think you guys have done very well to come to like almost the end of book 2. Venerable Zitong is in charge of this translation. She is working very hard to get book 5 and book 6 out. So hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have all of the articles done. So in Chinese, it's 3 volumes, but in the English, we have 6. So I personally think that the content is very deep for beginners, honestly, especially tonight's topic, absolute emptiness. So my hope is that I will try my best to kind of raise some of the questions, and then I hope that we can discuss about emptiness. So tonight is not going to be too much of content based, but I hope to hear from everybody, like, well, when you say 4 times, right? We've been talking about emptiness because yeah, it's the last time I did one was the 4 elements are empty. So I guess, and then OJ did one on emptiness itself. So I think we've been talking about emptiness, and I think it's a topic. I don't know about you, but I personally kind of like, in my journey of learning Buddhism, I kind of stayed away from it for a little bit because it just kind of was just too difficult to grab the concept. So it was something that I kind of just stay away from for a while. Until last year, I had to teach in the English Buddhist College. Actually, not last year, it was this year, beginning of the year. So I had to teach at the Buddhist College on Prajnaparamita Sutra. Based on Dr. Lancaster's content, I used most of his content and I taught the students. You can imagine, and this is second year students, so you can imagine how difficult it was for them to understand. So, but we finished it for the 18 weeks. And at the end of it, they actually appreciated knowing about Prajnaparamita. So, but before, this is just intro while we wait for people kind of coming in. So, but tonight, why don't we just begin by reading the article? Oh, actually, I should let you share first. So why don't we begin by reading the article first? Oh, we can't hear you, Owen. We can't hear you, Owen.
Absolute emptiness. Emptiness is one of the most important concepts in Buddhism. Emptiness describes the truth of the universe and life. However, sometimes Buddhism has been taken as unacceptable due to the concept of emptiness. Most people equate the concept of emptiness with nothingness, or that the four elements are empty. They take it as a nihilistic concept that renders everything into nothing. To them, heaven, earth, and people are empty. Wealth and money are empty. Even love is empty. Such an explanation of emptiness causes people to fear the Buddha's teachings. In fact, Buddhism should widely spread the positive meaning of emptiness, for emptiness is the basis of all existence. Only when there is emptiness, there is existence. For example, if there is no empty land, how can we construct a building? Without an empty room, how do we have a space to sleep? If there is no empty cropland, where can crops and plants grow? How can how can we live at all? Furthermore, if there is no empty space or air, how can we survive? If our stomach and nostrils are not empty, how can we stay alive? Emptiness allows our survival, existence, and possession of things. Emptiness contains all phenomena because it is so vast. Without emptiness, how can anything exist? Marlene?
Moreover, without any space in the living room, where does the sofa go? Without any space in the dining room, where does the dining table go? If there is no bedroom, how are we to sleep on the streets at night? Even sleeping on the streets requires an empty space for us to lie on. Therefore, emptiness is indispensable to life. To drink tea, an empty cup is needed. To eat food, an empty bowl is needed. To sit, an empty seat is needed. Money can fit in one's pocket only when it is empty. An office desk requires an empty spot for it before we can start working. Without emptiness, our life is forced into a dead end. This is how important emptiness is for people. Ube.
Some people go to court to fight over a small piece of land or an empty space. Is it not contradictory that we fight over an empty space yet remain fearful of the concept of emptiness? Therefore, we must understand that with emptiness comes existence. Without emptiness, there is no existence. Similarly, wondrous existence arises from true emptiness. As said in the Prajna Paramita Heart Sutra, form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. Emptiness and existence are non-dual. Existence can only arise from emptiness. Similarly, existence will also disappear into emptiness. Buddhism discusses absolute emptiness, in which absolute means it is the ultimate, extreme, or final. A total of 18 aspects of emptiness are discussed in Buddhism. Some examples include internal emptiness, external emptiness, internal and external emptiness, emptiness of emptiness, great emptiness, ultimate emptiness, conditioned emptiness, unconditioned emptiness, and absolute emptiness. Lara?
To clarify, even when we have realized the emptiness of the concept of the six sense organs, or internal emptiness, or the sixth sense objects, external emptiness, are both internal and external emptiness. This is still not the ultimate realization. We also need to realize the empty nature of our understanding of emptiness, emptiness of emptiness, and eventually completely do away with the concept of emptiness, great emptiness. Moreover, we must remain unattached to all phenomena. Ultimate emptiness, for all conditioned phenomena are a combination of causes and conditions, and therefore empty in nature, conditioned emptiness. Even the unconditioned phenomena of nirvana that cannot be attached to unconditioned emptiness. The state of absolute emptiness is when we truly realize that there are no phenomena to be attached and nothing to be attached to. By understanding what absolute emptiness is, we can transcend time and space and be in harmony with everything. Only then can we experience the highest and most ultimate state of truth, which is a boundless and limitless world. This is similar to Amitabha's infinite light and infinite life, where time and space have no limits. As such, is true emptiness and wondrous existence not great?
So you're muted.
Sufu, you need to unmute.
Okay, sorry. I thought you could read my lips. So, okay. So tonight we're going to talk about a very deep concept. So I must make a disclaimer. I am no expert in emptiness. So I'm hoping that we can discuss about emptiness. Okay. As at the beginning, I was talking about how the concept of emptiness is very deep. However, I guess it's been appearing in Buddha Dharma Pure and Simple. This is the fourth time we're talking about emptiness, right? So I would like to hear from you your understanding of emptiness. Okay, so I hope that you guys can share and let's just talk about it. Let's just kind of like go into the actual article. At least let's digest a little bit of, what the article is trying to tell us. So according to the article, what does emptiness describe? So
The truth of the universe and life, Shafu.
Yes, correct. So, and what do most people equate the concept of emptiness as?
Nothingness.
Yeah, nothingness. So, like it sounds like everything is empty, right? It sounds like everything empty. In some ways, that's true, but empty, right? With the quotes. Okay, we'll talk more about that later. Okay, so fill in the blanks. So emptiness is the basis of what, and only when there is what, there is what. Marlene, was it you trying to read? Okay. Okay, you might need to unmute.
Oh my goodness. I think emptiness is the basis of existence.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Only when there is
Mm-hmm.
existence, there is emptiness.
The other way. Okay.
Oh,
Only
huh?
when there is
Emptiness,
emptiness,
there's existence.
there is existence. Yes. Okay. So the next one, okay, in the article, what are some of examples that emptiness mentioned in the article?
Pocket.
Yeah, your empty pockets.
Yeah.
The empty land,
Mm-hmm.
Empty room.
Empty
empty room.
room. Yeah.
Okay, even your stomach, your nostrils, right? Okay, so what is the relationship between emptiness and existence?
They're coexisting, actually.
They're
师傅.
coexisting.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like there has to be, the other condition has to be there for the other condition to come into play.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
They're
this
non-dual, is what
they're
they
not
said.
dual.
Non-dual.
Yes, they're non-dual, right? They're non-dual. So go next. Okay, so the so-called non-dual, you see this in the Heart Sutra a lot, right? You guys chant the Heart Sutra many times. So form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Okay, so existence can only arise from emptiness. Similarly, existence will also disappear into emptiness. Okay, let's pause here and talk a little bit about this, because just then we talked about the examples where we talk about if the land is not empty, then how can a house be built on, right? So here, the emptiness, right? Emptiness is the basis of existence, as we just talked about. So from emptiness, we can have a myriad of phenomena, right? So in the article, it talks about how empty land. Now, where's emptiness in this empty land? Okay.
Where is emptiness?
Yeah. So I'm gonna keep going, and then we'll pause, and then we'll talk about this whole concept. Okay. So just like
Okay. Sorry.
in the article, it also talks about empty room, right? Okay. So, and then talks about a house built on this empty land, right? So, okay, before I go there. So, is this a house?
Yes.
But this is a house.
Yeah.
But can you live in this house?
No.
But why do we say this is a house?
It has the form of a house.
Yes, correct. So it has the form of the house. Okay.
It's a house
So
because
yes,
composed
Louisa.
of parts, different parts of the house.
Oh, wait, I'm hearing a few.
Okay. It's a house because it's composed of different parts. The door and the windows.
Yes, yes. So if we have a triangle with the box at the bottom with some windows, you got, it's a house, right? So, okay, let's go back here. We talk about this, right? So form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Existence can only arise from emptiness. Similarly, existence will also disappear into emptiness. Okay, so I think first of all, let's clarify this word empty, right? Because when it's used with quote, that's why when I said at the beginning, everything, even though in the article it says, well, it's not empty, it's not empty, it's not empty, but in a way, it is empty. All
Yes.
phenomena are empty, right? But when we talk about, let's define what empty is. When we say empty, it must be empty of something. So what is it empty of?
It's nature.
It's empty of our concept of that form.
Okay, that's one way of interpreting it. So what's more like a textbook definition usually?
Is it empty of
Self-nature.
Yes, self-nature, and then, or we'd say empty of an inherent nature or inherent existence, or we say it's empty of a separate self, right? When you think about it, no one thing can exist with just one item or one phenomena, right? You can say, well, yeah, sure, it's a pen. You can't see it, like it's a pen, right? Which part of it is the pen?
All combined together.
All of it,
Mhm.
right? Okay, so going with Ube's definition, you say it's our concept of it, right? So, but it's a label we put on to say it's a pen,
Yes.
right? So if we say if it's a pen, it's a label we put on. Is it even possible in life that we take away this label?
we won't be able to communicate na sa po.
Yeah. So, you know, the challenge with emptiness is that when we try to apply emptiness, right? We say, oh, okay, yeah, I know it's no, there's no separate self. Everything is just a combination of, you know, conditions coming together, or combined, you know, all coming together, right? So what we say, let's call it the label, right? You say, okay, I don't want to label anything. I want to live in emptiness, right? Is it possible?
No.
No. You try go shopping. Go shopping without any, you know, I'm not going to attach to labels. Can you even go shopping without attaching to any labels?
No.
What's going to happen, you know? It's very difficult, right? So I think let's clarify this empty. So we cannot live without labels. So let's not, I don't know, maybe not you, but in case anyone thinks when we learn emptiness, we get too afraid of all this labeling, right? I want to live with no concepts. I want to live with no labeling. But in reality, it's very difficult to live without labeling. So how can we apply knowing this and yet we still label things, right?
Do not attach.
Therefore, I think it is, yes, it's not attaching, it's the realization that, yes, we do need the concepts to get
Mhm.
through things. We do need the labels to identify and be able to, you know, put things together, but
Mhm.
not to be attached to those. Like the realization that all these are actually just our ways or means, or expedient means to live life fully here in
Mhm.
this world.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yes, Shifu.
Yes.
So, hello. Hi, good evening. Yeah,
Hello.
Jishang. I think, yeah, in my opinion, um, I think it will lead me to realize that everything is not what it seems. So whenever something happens, or if I get something, yeah, like what you've said earlier, Shifu, we always go back to the inherent nature of that certain thing. But because we are not yet Buddhas, we cannot fully understand the inherent nature of something. But because we're studying Dharma, we know that it's empty of, you know, of something like, so it's like, mm, it exists, but we cannot fully understand its inherent nature. So we just use it as it is. Use it as it
Mm.
is.
Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. So I don't know about you, but maybe I'm not as wise as you. Okay. In the article, when I personally, it took me a long time to understand this part where it keeps talking about, okay, at one stage, you tell me, you know, people have this misconception about emptiness being everything is empty, right? Right. To them, heaven and earth, you know, people are empty, wealth and money are empty, even love is empty, right? And then it goes on to talk about how, for example, if there's no empty land, hence my picture, if there's no empty land, how can we construct a building? Do you find the contradiction? Is it contradicting or is it just me? Because I got very confused. At one stage, you're telling me that no, they're not all empty. You know, this is misconception. And yet you tell me, okay, if a room is not empty, how can we put things in? Are you, do you guys share my similar confusion? Or is it just me? So maybe someone can explain. What does that mean? Like, do you understand my question? Am I making, do you understand my question or?
Again, sure for again.
Okay. So in the article, right, it talks about how a lot of people equate the concept of emptiness with nothingness, right? That's a misconception, right? So it's not nothingness. Yet in the example, it talks about if there is no empty land, how can we construct a building? Without an empty room, how do we even have space to sleep? Or if we put anything in a sofa?
I think, Shefu, the confusion would more likely happen when a person thinks in the dualistic way, which we often do. Like when you say empty means blank, nothing. So it's a very simple way of defining what emptiness is. So that's where the confusion comes in when why people would think that when the word emptiness is brought up, it would mean directly zero, nothing. When I think what we are being reminded when the word emptiness is brought about is what Auntie Marlene earlier said about detachment, about knowing that the space or something can come together and also disintegrate, but even the coming together and the disintegration, that we are not to be attached to those concepts of, you know, causes and conditions bringing things together and causes and conditions breaking apart things. We realize that these things do happen, but we are to realize that this is not the entirety of existence or non-existence.
Anyone else?
Yeah, sure. I think it's like, in philosophy, we talk about potential and actuality. So emptiness seems like our potential. Yeah, it doesn't really mean that nothing is there, but it's like an opportunity, like a potential. And when, you know, emptiness can lead to existence, thus it becomes actual from that certain potential. So it's like us. We don't understand our inherent nature. It's empty. However, that's only part of our nature, even though we don't really understand that. But in actuality, emptiness will make us realize that we have Buddha nature in actuality. So everything at first, if our understanding is shallow, like what I have now, like my understanding right now, it's shallow. So I would say, oh, it's emptiness. Emptiness, even my mind is empty. But when I realize by my practice, by studying, that, oh, I have Buddha nature, it's not totally empty after all. But this emptiness led me to understand that my inherent nature is not empty, but it's Buddha nature. Yeah.
Mhm.
So something like that.
Mhm. Anyone else?
So for
Yes.
Amiel said is his understanding is shallow, but it's so deep I cannot understand. But relating to your question, so for you said that the land is empty, we can build the building, the room is empty, we can fill up with sofa and things like that. I think it's talking about that nothing is absolute. So things is like continuously changing. You can build something and then later on you can destroy it. So that's why it's empty of its nature, because it can change. So that's how I understand about this part of the discussion or the article, wherein it keeps on giving us some examples of things that are empty, including our stomach that gets filled, and then later we can empty it, you know. So it's just reminding us that everything, whether it's land, our body, concepts, even ideas, is like a changing phenomena.
Mhm.
There's nothing absolute in it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Sure, Fu. I just realized something as Uncle Aaron was talking. It's like if we empty our minds from the three poisons, that is when we unravel the Buddha nature. So
Mhm.
emptiness can lead us to something good.
Mhm. Okay. Anyone
It's
else?
very deep. But I agree.
I think, when we said that the room is empty, we're referring to the dimension of space. And then
Mhm.
we can put up things. But all the things in the room becomes empty. We're referring to the empty nature of the things that we put in that space, in that empty space, and everything is changing in a permanent.
Mhm. Well said, Marlene. Yes. I think Marlene, you explained it very simply, and I think that's what it is. When we talk about empty, when we read the article, I think I personally got very confused because I was mixing the definition.
Yeah.
Right. At one stage, it's talking about the actual space, like this picture. Right. You need the space. But when you have the space, it's
You can exist.
possibilities, endless
Mhm.
possibilities. How you would like to decorate this room, it's up to you. Right.
Yeah.
But it's also the
Empty.
empty space is a condition. If we talk about causes and conditions, right? You need the right condition. If you want to put something into it, you need the right condition, right? And that empty space is one of the conditions, right? Because if it's filled, if it's cluttered, how could you even do any more with it, right? So when we talk about empty, right, with the quote, right, it's a lot of combined conditions, if you like, or elements. When we talked about the 4 elements, right? It's not one thing, right? It needs, if you look at this empty room, right, it sits probably in the house, right? Inside the house. But if we take apart the house, it's filled with so many things, right? If you look at this house, okay, apart from the label, let's analyze the house. So my question here is that where's emptiness, right? You see the metal, you see the glass, right? You see the materials to construct this, but you go further. You take the glass. What's the glass made of? Anyone in,
Silica.
Silicone.
Silica.
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 So silica, okay, you take that and then you go deep,
Atoms.
keep going,
Ions.
keep going,
Quarks.
Whoa,
as small as you
atoms.
can. Atoms. What's smaller than atoms?
Quark.
What's the smallest atom?
Quark.
Quarks.
Q-U-A-R-K. Quark.
Quarks, yeah.
But scientists has not found the smallest particles. They're still trying to find the smallest particle. They thought that was the smallest, but they realized there's even something smaller than that.
Nano quark.
Nano, it
Super
keeps
nano
going.
quarks.
Yeah, they keep going. So when we go down to the smallest, so there's no smallest, infinite, right? So to understand emptiness, sometimes we also need to understand that everything we see, right, when it forms into a house, but when you take every item of that house and you go down to the very minute, smallest thing, you cannot find that thing. Okay, how? Now we go bigger, right? If you keep going bigger, right? Just then we go smaller, right? That's zoom out. Zoom out. If you keep zooming out and zooming out, where's space? The outer space. And you just keep going.
Oh yeah.
It's endless.
Boundless.
Boundless. It's right. So we talk about this concept. It's a label that we put on it. Yes. But we need to recognize that in this life, we still need to call a house a house. Don't become this person who learns Buddhism and then start to kind of go, I'm just going to practice emptiness, and then, I'm not going to attach to anything, and I'm not going to, then you're not quite humanistic Buddhism, are you? You're not quite a humanistic Buddhist. We still need to be normal. Okay.
Molecular Buddhism.
But yeah, so we need to still live in this world and talk human language. Okay.
Yeah.
So but the thing is, right? I'm hoping we can talk a little bit about all of these, right? So this picture, okay, when you were born, you're a baby, then you're like start to crawl, you're a toddler, you walk, you teenage, right? And then eventually you form your own family, you have your own kids, right? Now, which one are you?
The last one, Sapo.
That's where you're at, right?
Right.
This is you.
You
Now,
become a
we are in-
granddad.
but is the baby not you?
They're all me.
Yes. They're all you,
Yeah.
and they're
That-
all
at those
not
ye-
you.
Not
Yes.
you.
Yeah. I'm the single one, Shifu, the one with the
I-
phone.
Yeah, I was that when I was at that moment.
Yes. Yes. Right? So this is also another way we can understand emptiness. Someone mentioned the forever changing, right? When you said it, right? The change, the constant changing. It doesn't stop. So when we understand emptiness, we're also trying to see it, the changing nature of emptiness. Right? We need to see the changing nature of emptiness. So I asked you, which one are you? The baby is you, and it's also not you, right? You say the last one, right? But even the last one is changing,
Yes.
is it not?
Mhm.
Us sitting here, you call me Wenbo-Zhi-Sun, right? But even sitting here, my cells, right? My skin, like it's fully shedding, but we can't see it. But I look the same, probably, an hour ago until now, you think I look the same. But on the bodily, right? So much has been going on. There's no stopping. Just like, when we talk about that atom, you keep going. And then when you zoom out, right? So when we understand emptiness, we also need to remind ourselves the changing nature of it. That's why it says that there's no inherent existence. It's the constant changing, right? There's no separate soul that we can just say that's that one thing, right? So how can understanding emptiness help you in your life? Right? I know in the article it talks about the 18 types of emptiness. I don't know. I tried to look for some information. It's very limited. So I decided that even if we try to understand what all of those 18 are, but I think ultimately, why do we need to understand emptiness, and how can that help you in your life? I'm hoping we can, for the remaining probably about 40 minutes, that we can talk about this, because I think it's more useful for us to talk about how emptiness can help us in our life. But before I open the floor for all of you, let me share a story of where I got to understand, I think that's emptiness. Okay, so, during Chinese New Year in Foguangshan, because everyone's helping out in different departments, and so we get packed lunch, right? There's someone who pack all the lunch for the volunteers as well as the residents in the Foguangshan. So in our department, there's the 3rd floor and the 4th floor where we have 2 offices. So someone came because when we order the lunchbox, we put it in, we collect it, like they deliver it. Okay, so we just order if we need it. So someone came down from the 4th floor into our office, because that's where all the lunchbox was kept. So someone came down and said, how many lunchboxes did we order? Someone from 4th floor. I'm on the 3rd floor. How many lunchboxes did we order? I said, I don't know how many you ordered. And she's like, well, I'm taking mine, but maybe I can take for the rest of the other people as well. So, but how many did we get? How many did we order? I said, I have no idea how many you order, but I know how many is in our office. I said, look, why don't you just take your own and just let others take theirs when they want to eat? So, and she's like, okay. So she left. So then 10 minutes later, another person from 4th floor came down. And she asked, oh, how many did you order, like, in your office? And I say, well, only 3 of us, but one of them already took hers. Venerable already took hers, so we only need just me and Venerable Yuzai, so there's only 2 of us. And she's like, okay, well, I'm just going to leave 2. I'll take the rest. I said, okay, yeah, take it. Then she left. Now, if you were the first person, would you get upset? Because the first person came and I said, don't take it, don't take it. Just let them take their own and, you know. But then 10 minutes later, I said, take it, take it. Do you understand? But I laughed to myself after the second person left. I thought, wow, 10 minutes ago, I stopped somebody from taking the lunchbox. 10 minutes later, I said, take it, it's fine, just take it. Now, what's the difference? They asked different
Okay.
questions. Did you realize they both asked different questions? The first one asked me, how many did they order? I don't know how many you ordered, but I know how many I ordered, like for our office. And I didn't want the responsibility to let her take it and then somebody comes and say, where's my lunchbox? But the second person asked me, how many your office ordered? I knew the answer. I said, 3, right? That's why she said, okay, well, I'm just gonna leave you your part. I'll take the rest. I was like, yeah, sure, take it. Is that not emptiness? I thought. I think it's emptiness, right? It's a bit similar to this, right? It's the relative. It's the moment. There are so much going on, right? There's so much going on in how do I put it? It's like in this moment, you would say yes to something. In another moment, you won't. Right?
The
So
condition, Sifu.
the condition,
Yeah.
right? The condition is very different.
Mm.
But when we talk about conditions are in my hands as well, right? You've heard that before.
Mm.
So if you were the first person, you ask that kind of question, you probably won't get what you want. But if you were the second kind of person, you would get what you want. And actually, I was very happy for her to take the lunchbox, right? So that's my own story. I realized that asking the right kind of questions, or how you ask the question, how you are. That's why sometimes we say, how come she gets
What she
that
wants. Yeah.
and I don't?
Mm.
How come people treat her better than me?
Mm.
Or how come, you know? So, but if we can stop for a moment and recognize the condition, right? If we call it the condition, all the elements in it. For example, the questions you ask, how you ask, your attitude, right? You know, all of that matters, right? So that's my little kind of sharing of where I see emptiness. So while you are thinking about where do you see emptiness in your life? So I think personally how it helps me in my life, when I guess, sometimes we meet people who we don't like, or we meet people who we really like, right? Either way. If we talk about, attachment keeps coming up in the discussion, right? We know not to be attached. When you dislike somebody, that's still also attachment, is it not? Resenting, that's pushing away. But what are you attaching to is that concept of that person, right? Or I don't like, because the way they dress, the way they talk, the way they eat, the way they whatever. Are those not labeling, as we were talking about, right? So if we can recognize that this person is forever changing, if we can see the elements, the so-called empty nature, as we mentioned earlier, if we talk about seeing this person is changing all the time from baby, and then they grow and they continue to grow. There's no stopping. In this moment that I see this person, that moment I say, I don't like you, that moment has passed. The moment has passed again. The moment has passed again. So what am I disliking? What I am disliking in this moment is non-existent, right? In a way, it's non-existent. Because the moment I say, I don't like you, and the second next moment is gone already. When I think this way, I look at this person, I just kind of like, if we do like the house, take it apart, the hair, the skin, right? This is a form of meditation, the form of meditation where are you? If imagine you lie on a bed, you take all your organs apart. Where's Ube? Is it your hair? Is it your eyes, skin, the bone? So where's Ube?
My alaya.
Okay, where's your liar?
Somewhere out there.
Out there. Right? So when we kind of can see emptiness in this way in our lives, when we take things apart, actually it helps me to not be so attached to what I think things should be or how things can be, or I think the biggest is how things should be. We always like how things should be. It should be like this, right? And we can't accept when things are not like that. But when we recognize that it's just a bundles of elements coming together, so practicing emptiness is seeing things as they truly are. Seeing things as they truly are, right? So that's my little kind of like opening, but I like to hear where do you see emptiness in your life? So maybe I invite Louisa. You've been a bit quiet.
When I hear about emptiness, it reminds me of the Diamond Sutra.
Yes.
过去心不可得，未来心不可得。The past cannot be grasped, the future cannot be grasped, and even the present cannot be grasped. So where is there's no absolute. That means it will pass. The past is past, and it's today, right now, it will become a past. And the future is still the future. So there's nothing absolute there's nothing absolute. I mean, it's because of emptiness. I don't know how to explain it, but it reminds me of the Diamond Sutra. So we cannot, we cannot say everything there's permanent, because this is because emptiness can also be related to impermanence, right? That's my
So how can understanding this help you in your life?
Understanding is one thing, and applying it is also something that is very challenging. Right? Even we know sometimes we are faced with challenges, faced with circumstances. We know that impermanence, it is empty, but sometimes you get carried away. You have to remind yourself, and you have to check out how do you address it? How do you react? How do you transform or transcend situation, applying the emptiness in all things that you should not grasp, and you should let go. You have, most of the time you have to let go to protect yourself from being hurt.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Sure, Fu. I think if we understand that everyone and everything is in constant flux, then even in the most negative of situations, like, if you're very angry at someone and then you realize that that person might be going through a certain period of, is also having a bad day and like that. So it helps us to also deal with one another. We become more compassionate, we become more patient with another person. I think that's where emptiness will help us.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Yeah, sure, Fo. Yeah, good
Yes.
evening again. No, I might confuse everyone again. Okay, sorry. So it's like this. Um, by learning emptiness or realizing or understanding emptiness, it can benefit me by realizing that even if I fail, I can still have like the potential to be who I want to be. It's like emptiness is like the coming together of conditions and causes. So just like this Wednesday study group, okay, at first, okay, it started a while ago, like 8 o'clock. Causes and conditions came together and it started this study group. And later on, around probably
9:30.
9:30, it will end. So the causes and conditions will disintegrate and another set of causes and conditions would manifest. So emptiness comes in the middle. Like I can be who I want to be in this talk. I can learn what I want to learn. I can plant the causes. I can plant the causes in the process so that because I know that it's going to change soon because it's empty of like an inherent nature, like it's not consistent or constant. Change is there, impermanence is real. And so I will do my best to plant good causes to learn right now. So when this ends, I took advantage of the emptiness. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, thank you for the comments. Is it Emil? Emil? Is that how you guys say your
Yes,
name?
sure. Yes, sure.
At least you're proactive. There are people who become pessimistic. They feel, what's the point? It's gonna end anyway. What's the point? It's like, right, right. A lot of people who say there's no point in trying because it's gonna end anyway. So I may as well, impermanence, and the next thing I know, I'm gonna lose it anyway. So what's the point? But at least you seize the moment and you go, yeah, so I must be quick about it. I must seize because that's gonna change. I need to grab it while it's still here. This is more the correct way of seeing impermanence. It's supposed to actually get you to live your life, right? So you know that anything can change. Hence, I need to seize this while it's still there. Not to say, well, I'm gonna die tomorrow anyway, so I may as well, just be it, right? That's more pessimistic, but that's not what the purpose of Buddhism, especially humanistic Buddhism, is trying to live your life fully while you still can, right? So at least I'm glad. Okay, I'm not sure if Louisa's still on, but I wanted to, because you mentioned about letting go. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but it's true that applying, how do we apply when we say we understand it, but how do we apply it? That's another thing. Okay. I used to, what do you call it? It's like, why is it that it's difficult to apply? It's like if you understand impermanence, when impermanence hit, how many people are actually go, great, I'm so happy and welcome impermanence. How many people like happily invite or like happily receive impermanence? Anyone? Okay, maybe when you're suffering, right? When you Okay, what's an example? Like sometimes they say needing to go toilet. And that's the form of suffering, right? And finally you found toilet and you can go and release, right? That will be a good release, right? But when you're suffering, you will appreciate impermanence because at least there's a change to the situation for the better. What about the other way? When something is going so well, bang, something happened and it changes everything. And you're still able to welcome the change. But why is it that we cannot? We know it. I'm sure you have been practicing for years, but why is it that we struggle to apply? I mean, this is a food for thought, but I also want to talk a little bit about letting go. I don't know if I shared here before, but to me, letting go is like leaves falling off a tree. You know, when leaves detach itself from the tree, does it go, oh, no, I don't want to leave, right? There's no struggle. It just falls off. But at what point does it fall off? The moment it falls off, right? It just falls off when it falls off. But they are a myriad of causes and conditions before that until that moment it falls off. So to me, letting go is like that. We can talk to ourselves like, I should let go, I should let go, I should let go. But you know in your heart, you have not. Right? Oh, you're back. So it's that in your heart, the moment you let go, it's like that leaves falling off. But there's no struggle, actually. But everything you have done before that helps, whatever you do, right? But I guess it falls off when it's time. So I think one of the other things about learning Buddhism, we need to be honest with ourselves. It's like, as someone already said, I'm yet to become Buddha, right? Yet to become Buddha, right? So there's no need to kind of pretend, right? So if I keep telling myself to let go, it's almost like you going to pick the leaf off the tree by yourself, and it will hurt the tree. It's not natural. It's not like it just falls off by itself, but that's different, right? So, but acknowledging that if I'm constantly changing, it will come a time when I'm ready to let go, and I will know when that time is. But acknowledging that this is not the time yet. And then understanding why am I still holding on? What am I holding on to? If I have to let go of something, I used to always think, if I need to be selfless, wouldn't you need to understand the self to be less of? Then how else are you going to be less of? If you don't even understand the self. When you talk about no self, what is that self that you are no of? Right? Okay. So anyone else like to share? Is it Bing? Are you here with us? No? Anyone else?
So I just
Yes, Owen.
share something related earlier when we mentioned about the labels. I mentioned that we use it as a form of communication, right? So at least we can talk about things, we can talk about the house. And the way I see it, how we become, how we suffer with these labels is, for example, when, let's say, people would say, Erwin is bad. So that label bad, we sometimes, or many times, we grasp onto that, and it can cause anger to arise, especially against the person who said it. So this I guess would be one of the things that we should understand emptiness, so that we can let go of that grasping of that label, right? So if we understand ourselves enough, and we know that we are not bad, no matter how many times people will say we are bad, we can easily let go of that, right? But many times we don't understand even ourselves, so that other people, when they say I'm bad, we grasp onto that. This person said I'm bad, that's why I'm angry at him.
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
So this is one of the things that I see
mhm.
can help us to let go of these labels when we understand emptiness of all these labels.
It's a bit like this picture of the house, right? House is a label we put on it, but there's actually no house. It's just timber, glass, metal, right? Put together, right? So whatever that bad is probably a lot of conditions.
Different
To-
perception from the person.
Yes, yes. Perceptions projected from the person. And we take it and we believe it's true. Even though you say, I'm not like that. Well, then why are you upset?
And we manifest the badness by being upset.
Yeah. Right. So I guess, yes.
It's our ego also, Shifu, because it can work both ways. Like, labels, we think that the label put upon us is either also good or bad. So if it hits our ego in the wrong way, we say we're getting angry at that person. But when that label put upon us, massages our ego, then we say, oh, I like that person, right? So it
Yeah.
works both ways.
Yes. Thank you for bringing the biggest, what do you call it? The murderer, if I can call it. The biggest killer is that ego. I mean, there was an incident that happened, and as much as it's a bit like the labeling, right? Somebody said that, commented something about the way I handle a case, for example. Okay, the way I handle things is so, what do you call it? Slack. Like it's like I don't care. Like it's I didn't use a lot of effort, right? For example, and I kept thinking, really, is that me? I thought, I would do things like I will make sure everything is done well. I put in the effort. I think about it. It's not so laissez-faire. Like I don't care. I really care. I put in so much effort. So when somebody says, I just kept thinking, wow, why do you think that way? And I kept churning on this. It's that ego at play. But I didn't see that when it was at play. And it was that moment that I realized ego really hurts. It 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 really hurts when you try to break away from. We know to let go of the ego. We say that, but you know, to let that go is really painful. It was really painful for me to admit and say, because the whole time the ego kept saying, no, I'm not like that. I'm not like that. Right. And I had another voice that say, you are like that. And then another voice that say, it doesn't matter. Does it matter? Does it matter what you are? You know, it's like, if we talk about emptiness, right? Doesn't matter is what she says or what he says, you know, but you are who you are, right? And whatever that person said has already passed. Somebody just said, like Louisa says, the past you cannot hold on to. Even the present you can't hold on to, and the future you can't hold on. But why is it that the present you cannot even hold on to? Like I said, the moment has already passed. Even though she said it a minute ago, but that moment has already passed. But here I am holding on to it, going, no, I'm not like that. I'm not like that. And I keep repeating and then repeating and then repeating it, right? Ego really hurts when you try to let it go. And I had a experience of it, and I thought, wow, that's why, you know, the process of becoming Buddha, this whole process of letting go or realizing, is a painful process. Actually, it is painful. I never knew that ego can hurt, but when it really hurt me, I thought, wow. And I totally understand why Venerable Master says the biggest enemy is ourselves. Because who was hurting me? It was me.
It hurts so much.
It does. Yes, it does.
We cling to the
Who's,
ego.
yes.
It matters. Everything matters.
Everything
It's all about
matters.
ego. It's all about ego.
Yes.
Shifu, I have a new philosophy in life.
Sure.
I
Share.
used to be like, I was very conscious about how people would judge me, and I tried to, you know, please everybody. And I realized, oh, I ended up pleasing nobody, and it was really very painful. So now my philosophy is, if I do the best I can, and if you don't like it, too bad. If you like it, oh, good. So as long as my conscience is not bothering me, I just do the best I can.
Well,
huh?
being the best that you can in this moment. Is that not?
Yeah, but
one
it
of
may
the-
not be the best that you meet the expectation of the people wanted, but too bad, I've done my best. So if you don't like it, too bad. It's not my problem anymore.
But you know, innately, all of us be the best in every moment. I don't think any of us in every moment, even if somebody throw that punch, it's the best that they can do with in that moment, because the anger is just too much, and that's the only way that they can release it. It's hard to see that, but everybody lives every moment being the best, even though that best may not be the best in the bigger scope, right? But in their own, that moment, it is their best, you know. Okay. Anyone else? We have other people online. So
Hello, Shifu.
oh,
Hao.
who's speaking?
Daryl, Shifu, Daryl.
Daryl, wow.
Yeah.
Long time no see. You want to show your
Yes,
face?
a long time no see. Not now.
Okay, sure. Yeah,
What
please
I
share.
share, what I'll share, Shifu, is about what I'll share about emptiness. Emptiness is one of the most interesting topics that we had when we were in college with Venerable Miao Guang, with Venerable Miao Jing. Usually, if our topic is about emptiness, what we usually what we do have in our class would be, Shivu, so is this empty? Oh no, Shivu, it's not empty because it's half empty, it's half full. So we used to joke about the concept of emptiness. I think how can emptiness be applied in our, what's your question again, Shivu, from the previous slide or the
Oh,
next slide? What was that again?
yes.
Yeah, how can understanding emptiness help you in life? I think emptiness is a very yes, interesting. Aside from interesting, it goes along with impermanence, like what, and well, like what some of our Dharma brothers and sisters mentioned. It also goes along with um impermanence, with ignorance. Sometimes it's with ignorance. It is related to ignorance, and also the noble eightfold path, specifically right view and right speech. Why? We mentioned earlier that once we see a house, this is the label, this is the concept, this is our thinking of, this is not good. This is how it is because of our concept of a specific idea or something. So usually what happens is, if we're not sensitive, or if we're not mindful of our words, we hurt. Like what you mentioned earlier, Shifa, about the pientang, the first one I said no, you cannot get the meal box. The second one, oh, go get the meal box. So sometimes there are some conditions and some causes that would allow us, or that would tell us to do this because this is the situation, this is the condition that is in front of you. That is where right view comes in, go as it goes along with right speech. So emptiness is a very um very broad and also very confusing topic in Buddhism. However, if we get to really understand right, if we have right view and right speech, along with the other rights of Noble Eightfold Path, we get to apply it, we get to be more aware of our actions, of our thoughts. Oh, maybe this is what is happening to that person, or maybe this is, oh, look at the environment, the trees. Let's have right view, let's have right speech, and also right deeds, right actions. So that is how we can somehow somehow apply emptiness. But yeah, for non-Buddhists, it would be very confusing. You said there, if there is existence, there is emptiness. If there is emptiness, there is existence. So we really have to have that right view. So it's not an overnight process. It doesn't work like that. So it's a continuous process that we get to encounter every day, and that would help us to become a better version of ourselves. So I think that would be emptiness.
Yeah. So what I'm
How it
hearing you
also.
talk about is the emptiness can help us to establish right view, right? So if we can
Yes.
see things as they truly are, that will help us to have to establish that right view. At least
Mm-mm.
we have the right understanding of how things are and not be so deluded, if I can say, right? I think the danger comes when we believe whatever I see, right, is the truth. But
Yes.
that's the delusion part, right? Because like when we have that house, when I say, is this the house? This, like, is this the house? And then all of you nodded and say, yeah, it's a house. But
Mm.
it only needs to have just enough characteristics and right away you say that's a house. It's the same. You meet somebody, they just have to do one tiny little thing. You say, oh, and then you start to label, there's that impatient person. Oh, there is that, right? So your brain very quickly already, it will do that before you even know it. It is that quick. Before you even say, hey, no, you already, label is already there, established in your mind. It's much quicker than you before you even go, what's going on there, right? That house, it's a house, right? Just enough. Maybe I just need to draw a triangle and before I even can complete, you say, oh, there's a house, right? But it's how, we do. From young, we are taught. How do you teach your kids, right? It's an apple, it's an orange, we have been taught. But it's just that we can't undo, but we need to recognize these are just labels. They are not the so-called ultimate truth. They are not how things truly are. If you can see more and more like the house, and you can see more and more the timber, even go as far, timber, tree, you see the plants, you see the person who planted the seed, you see the person who go and water, and you see the person who has a wife, and you see the person when they are a baby, and you just keep going. It's endless. All right. And what you see is a house. Why we say we are interconnected, right? This is the interconnectedness of all of us. Can you say, well, the saying goes, no man is an island, right? So to see the interconnectedness in life, really, it also helps you to understand that you are not alone and you can't live alone. We need to appreciate. It's really not that easy for us to meet online, 16 of us here tonight on a Wednesday night, right? You could be out partying somewhere. Well, now it's COVID, you can't go anywhere, right? But even COVID has created so many possibilities, right? It has changed, and it has actually created things that we never thought possible. We even had a shaving ceremony online. Yeah, shaving ceremony online. There were 2 people in New Zealand. There were, I can't remember how many, but maybe like 8 or something like that in China. There were a couple in like Malaysia. And there was like an online, ceremony where they took their precepts and all that. It was never possible. Even Buddhist college, right? I'm sure when Venerable Yohui, when you were in Buddhist college, when I was in Buddhist college, even now they have Buddhist college online. It's like a 3 months online course where they can join online Buddhist college. They attend the classes. Of course, they don't have the, every day, but they attend classes. And they even have the graduation online. They have the graduation online, passing of the certificates, right? But all these possibilities, right? So I think, let me just wrap up quickly with this picture, right? It's a book, myriads of possibilities, right? What would you write in this book? It's up to you, right? Your life is like a book. It's up to you what you write in it.
You can
Right.
write it up because it's an empty book.
Well, yes, it is an empty book, right? So, but the empty book is a condition, right? It's a condition which can then create many things, right? So, well, thank you tonight for everyone who has shared your kindness of sharing your thoughts and your experience. So I look forward to the next one, but we haven't set one yet, but I'm sure we will meet again sometime soon. So maybe I invite Member Yu Hui, you can share a little bit too as a closing.
Because it's emptiness. So yeah. Well, I think it's enough, really. I think everyone gets the idea what is the emptiness being for classes. It's just not to attach anything. What Buddhas talk about a lot of stuff and describe a lot. Just tell us not to be attached. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Well, let's close here.
Yes, thank you, 智胜法师.
Thank you.
Pastor. And as I was looking at the last part of the article, it says here, by understanding what absolute emptiness is in life, we can be in harmony with everything. So hopefully everybody will have harmony in their life. And if there's something that's creating this harmony there, look for emptiness.
Be peaceful.
Eliminate. Eliminate.
That's
Go
that.
back to emptiness.
Anything happen, just accept. Don't be surprised.
Okay, so unless anyone have any questions, we'll end with the dedication of merits. Okay. Palms join. Thank you. Thank you very much, Sapo. Anyone turn on your camera for picture taking?
Thank you, Master. Thank you, everyone.
Turn
Thank
on your
you.
camera.
Masters.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. One more with the lotus flower.
That looks cool.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Venerable Susan.
Thank you. Thank you for
Venerable
having me
Yohei.
tonight. Thank you, Venerable Yu Hui.
Shapoy.
Thank you, Erwin. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone
everyone.
else.
Thank you, Shefu.
Bye.
See you again, Shefu.
See you. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night, Daryl.
Bye. Daryl, where's Daryl?
Yeah.
Online shaving
Hi, Daryl.
ceremony, Daryl. Daryl, online shaving, Chonglin.
I have a long hair already. I can't do it.
Yeah, you're
I
preparing
will
for
not
that.
do it again.
You're attached to your hair already.
There you go.
The emptiness.
Yeah, empty your hair, your head.
Emptiness.
All right. Good
Okay,
night.
bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Sapo.
Good
Good
night.
night. Bye-bye.
Good to see you. Bye bye.